Everybody remembers Charles in Charge, the classic Scott Baio sitcom that made male babysitters cool. But how many people remember that during its final season, the show's producers desperately tried to come up with 3 different spin-offs?
Whoa.
It's true. There were multiple backdoor pilots, and they were all about identical twins from the Charles in Charge TV universe. The backdoor pilots played by the classic sitcom rule of 3s. 1 set of identical twins is basic, 2 sets of identical twins is preposterous, but 3 sets of identical twins is genius. Or was it? Find out as we revisit these 3 episodes and uncover why they failed on Behind the Backdoor Pilot, Charles in Charge.
Everybody's a critic.
Welcome to Atomic Abe's Behind the Backdoor Pilot, where we take a deep dive into episodes of beloved TV shows that are actually secret pilots for potential spin-offs. Subscribe to Atomic Abe to watch our episodes on Married with Children, Who's the Boss, and more. And hit the bell to be notified when new videos drop. Throughout the 1980s, American audiences were presented with a dated comedy premise. What if men were doing the domestic work? And the results ranged from Mr. Mom to Who's the Boss to Uncle Buck. Both the feature film and the short-lived sitcom starring Kevin Meaney. One of the most successful versions of this formula was Charles in Charge. That's right, Scott Baio played a college student / live-in nanny who helped take care of some wisecracking kids. The sitcom premiered in 1984 as a primetime show on CBS. But due to low ratings, it was canceled after 1 season.
Right. What are you talking about?
But 2 years later, Charles in Charge came back as a first-run syndicated series. This was the 1980s equivalent of Netflix picking up a canceled show. The revived Charles in Charge ran for another 4 seasons. Same house, same premise, new family. Maybe the biggest difference in the revived show is that Buddy became increasingly moronic.
Well, that's great!
Tracing a Homer Simpson-esque trajectory from average simpleton to lower ape. In each episode, co-star Willie Ames was stealing the show. So it makes sense that when Charles in Charge was coming to an end, Willie Ames was given a chance at his own spin-off. But not as Buddy's identical cousin, Dudley. The show's first attempt at continued success begins with Scott Baio angrily muttering to himself.
How often do I get a chance to do Professor Higgler a favor? He's done me thousands of favors, but can I help him even once? No.
Charles, something wrong?
Oh, hi, fine, thanks.
See, Charles is upset that his college professor asked him to fill in as assistant manager at his brother's Hawaiian resort during spring break. But because of his work schedule with the Powells, he's unable to go.
The thing is, Professor Higgler asked me to do him a favor, and I'm going to have to let him down.
But as they say, when God closes a door, he opens an oven. Instead of exploring any other option, Charles asks Sylvia Plath here to take his place in Hawaii, but he too has plans.
I'm taking my fiancée, Nurse Bennett, into a cave. She's one of those people that likes to explore caverns.
Spelunker?
Well, not yet, but I'm hoping to once I get her in the cave.
All hope is lost until the family relinquishes Charles of his nanny duties and gifts him the most stressful trip to Hawaii imaginable.
There's a plane leaving for L.A. in 1 hour. You'll catch a flight tomorrow at noon for Hawaii. You better get moving.
Oh, thanks.
Okay.
But before Charles can ask if there's a later flight, he's shuffled beyond earshot of Buddy, who has a West Coast liaison at the ready. And Dudley is introduced thusly.
Hello, is this Dudley Krantz? Probably. Who's this? This is your cousin, Buddy Lembeck. Boy, have I got a job for you. Assistant manager of the Coconut Beach Hotel.
Remarkably, despite identical relatives appearing in each backdoor pilot, this is the only time an actor plays against their double. Apparently, the show wasn't willing to shell out for Patty Duke technology. But to Ames's credit, he's really good at talking to himself and hiding his dye job for the dual role. Not so much in subsequent episodes.
Gee, I sure hope Charles appreciates this.
So with lines sufficiently crossed, Charles in Charge is going to Hawaii. A siren song for sitcoms, America's 50th state has drawn countless series to its exotic lands for vacation episodes. Everything from The Brady Bunch to Full House to Prestige TV. But But unlike the Bradys, the Tanners, and the Lotuses, this episode's actual Hawaiian locales are limited to one long establishing shot. In its place are fake ferns and spray-painted vistas on an obvious soundstage. The mismanaged hotel is also a popular go-to setting for spin-off potential. Who's the Boss tried rolling the dice on a Mona-led series that found her running a hotel with her brother in the Season 3 episode, Mona. Viewers checked out before the backdoor pilot went to series. The Golden Girls follow-up, Golden Palace, had 3/4 of the cast running a hotel in Miami with Don Cheadle and Cheech Marin. In fact, Charles in Charge isn't even the first show to air a failed backdoor pilot set at a Hawaiian resort. That dubious honor goes to Green Acres, which dipped its toe into tropical waters with the Season 6 finale, Hawaiian Honeymoon, featuring a wisecracking Pat Morita.
She's got nice jewels. She's got nice legs, too.
As for this backdoor pilot's potential for sun and/or fun, cold water is immediately thrown on the whole spring break in Hawaii premise.
Mitchell, we've died and gone to heaven.
No, Dudley, we've lived and gone to hell. We're not allowed to touch these girls. If Mr. Higgler catches us even thinking about it, he'll cut off our benefits.
But as Dudley explains, his character's motivation isn't just about babes.
Is that why you majored in hotel administration, so you could meet women?
I guess I'm just doing this to prove to everybody and myself that I'm good at something.
It's also a great way to meet women.
As he foretold, Dudley is introduced to Tippy, the reservations manager, basically the Julie McCoy of the hotel.
Hi, I'm Tippy. Welcome aboard.
I...
Goodness, you don't have to say aye. Welcome aboard is just a figure of speech.
Tippy is played by Susan Jennifer Sullivan, who also appeared as the equally bubbly Muffy in the Season 4 Charles in Charge episode, The Ninny and the Professor. She's the ninny.
Whales are just big people without elbows.
At the helm of the hotel is boss Carl Higgler, who, according to sitcom law, is a bit of a hard ass.
How do we know you're the manager?
I'll beat you senseless.
Mr. Higgler is played by seasoned actor Dick Gautier, the voice behind G.I. Joe's Serpentor.
No riders allowed.
Several Transformers.
Well, that's one piece of good news anyway.
And android Jaime on Get Smart.
You knocked me out.
And who couldn't help but forget Mitchell, Dudley's hijinks cohort who's neither straight-laced nor wacky enough to really stand out.
Who are you? Mitchell Green. I'm your other assistant manager.
Who cares?
Mitchell is played by Jeff Bennett, who you might remember from, who are we kidding?
My career is dead.
Mr. Higgler is extra abusive today because the owner of the hotel chain is visiting, which means no funny stuff. That shouldn't be a problem.
As a matter of fact, Henry Horton is coming here today. So I want no problems at all. Do you understand? No problems.
Naturally, here's how the problems unfold. Charles arrives just in time to realize maybe he should have called ahead during his overnight layover at LAX.
Wait a minute. I was supposed to have this job. I flew all the way here from New Jersey.
Oh, sorry, job's taken. I tell you what, why don't you check into the hotel and have a vacation?
Oh, I can't afford to stay here.
There's also the matter of a jumper on the 5th floor, played by Brian Backer, a.k.a. Mark Ratner from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. A human fly also gets into the ointment when he starts climbing the side of the hotel, presumably to make headlines in the 1930s.
Beat it, Buster, you're on my ledge. What's he doing? He's threatening to jump.
What a loser. At least I'm on my way up.
Despite Dudley and Mitchell's best efforts, they're unable to keep every predicament from Mr. Higgler, leading to the episode's best line.
Some maniac is climbing up the side of the building. I'm calling the police.
That's not a maniac, sir. That's a human fly.
Then I'll call a SWAT team.
Okay, Charles in Charge, you earned it.
Don't suck up.
Then Higgler reminds the viewers of the very complicated stakes of the episode.
If all is not peaceful when Mr. Horton arrives today, the two of you will be sailing for California in the 2 o'clock shark.
So with their backs against the wall, Dudley utters that famous sitcom rallying cry.
I have a plan.
And sets into motion a series of schemes so crazy, they just might suffice. Dudley turns the human fly into a PR stunt to honor Henry Horton's visit. He gets Tippy to appeal to Mark Ratner's distaste for premarital cohabitation. And he sticks Charles in the flooded boathouse he and Mitchell are staying in for the time being. Does it work? Does a backdoor pilot need a formula? Henry Horton calls the hotel about the supposed tribute after seeing it on the news.
Oh, you love the idea? Well, I knew you would. Yes, sir. Well, it was the least I could do.
Tippy and Mark Ratner bond over their youth group values.
It's amazing how much we have in common. Tippy is a nice, old-fashioned girl. She'd rather die than live with me.
And Charles returns to remind us that, yeah, Scott Baio definitely directed this episode.
We have a lovely chateau that overlooks the ocean. And we'd be more than happy to share it with you. No strings attached, of course.
Along the way, there are pratfalls, Three Stooges exits, and enough hornball eye candy to satisfy a certain demo, best described by Comedy Bang Bang director Don DeMillo.
But what really makes it a special show, Scott, is that there's also a little something in there for Daddy.
With little daylight between the characters of Buddy and Dudley, and frequent pop-ins by Charles to keep things grounded in the Charles in Charge universe, Lost Resort fits snugly within the series' run. That jarring whiplash of a backdoor pilot's new characters and setting isn't really here. And of the show's 3 backdoor pilot attempts, this one feels like it would have been their safest bet, thanks in large part to Willie Ames's familiar antics.
Somehow you kept us from getting fired.
Hey, I did, didn't I? I am good at something. I'm good at surviving.
But we already know the diagnosis. Lost Resort was condemned before its grand opening. Funny enough, according to the book Spinning Laughter, Willie Ames didn't want his legacy to be Buddy Lembeck and requested that Dudley be his new potential character. Which is a shame, because had the spinoff been picked up, he might have been best known for playing a bumbling man-child with slightly different hair. But then the world would have been deprived of Bible Man.
Bible Man!
Hey kids, how about a cheer for the Bible?
Just 4 episodes after Lost Resort aired, Charles in Charge returned to the backdoor pilot plate and signaled for a bunt with Almost Family. This episode's never seen nor mentioned twin is even more implausible, Charles's Aunt Sally. Yes, Ellen Travolta plays Lillian's twin sister in a Tina Turner wig. A major departure for Ellen, as she's only played Scott Baio's mom in Happy Days, Joni Loves Chachi, and Charles in Charge. But rather than confuse the audience with a dual role, Travolta only appears in this episode as Aunt Sally. Once again, the episode begins with Charles complaining about doing somebody a favor.
Unbelievable. My mom forgot to mail my Aunt Sally her birthday present. Now I gotta drive all the way to Brooklyn and be back here by 6 o'clock.
Charles, I didn't know your mom had an Aunt Sally.
She doesn't, buddy. I have an Aunt Sally.
Hard to believe Charles's best friend wouldn't know about his immediate family one state over. But then again, this is Buddy we're talking about. With only one inscrutable insult left to make,
it's like talking to lava.
We're off to Aunt Sally's Brooklyn car wash for the next potential spinoff. As far as workplace comedies go, if Lost Resort was Fawlty Towers, Almost Family would be Taxi. Blue-collar New Yorkers scraping by with grease on their face and defeat in their hearts. And lest you forget that the potential spinoff is set in Brooklyn, Ellen Travolta channels her brother John to the point of exhaustion.
Hey, Arthur, I got a situation, and it ain't good. This is all I need.
Oh, Bobby, please! Come on!
Boy, I hate this. Jeez.
Seriously, she's this close to launching into a rendition of Baba Barino.
I say the Barino.
The wild child counterpart to Goody Two-Shoes Lillian, Aunt Sally is reminiscent of another rough-around-the-edges alter ego, namely Chaz, Charles's dirtbag persona triggered with a blow to the head.
Boy, from now on, 20 shots at tequila is my limit, man.
Taking Sally's swagger in stride is former building owner turned employee Arthur, who never misses an opportunity to mention his backstory.
What could be worse than being broke?
Well, I'll tell you what's worse. Building a financial empire and then watching it crumble. All because a few humorless bureaucrats couldn't understand the concept of junk bonds and insider trading.
Arthur is played by Ellen Travolta's then-husband, the late Jack Bannon, best known for his long-running role as Art Donovan on the very popular Mary Tyler Moore spinoff, Lou Grant. And I suppose if you ever needed a thinly veiled G. Gordon Liddy type, Bannon's the go-to guy. Bannon is another member of the Charles in Charge guest actor slush pile, having previously appeared as Dr. Clay in the Season 5 episode Daffy Doc. Guess they thought we wouldn't notice. We also have Spider, an aging hippie by way of Dr. Steve Brule.
I stopped wearing underwear back in '67 as a protest against the war.
There's also Grease Monkey Bobby, whose outfit looks as if the Warriors had a gang of mechanics.
Yeah.
He's played by Rodney Eastman, who you might remember as Joey from the Elm Street franchise. There's Penny, who works the register and not much else.
I wish I knew you back then. I bet you were very attractive.
And then there's Tyrone, a.k.a. Jamal, who would probably be a lot different if this episode aired today.
Tyrone, you speak Latin?
Sure. Que pasa, mama?
And like the city in Sex and the City, the car wash is a character itself. Left behind by Sally's ex-husband when he fled for the Bahamas, the struggling business is more burden than blessing.
This car wash is trying to kill me, Arthur.
Without a PPP loan in sight, Sally enlists Arthur to check her books.
My goal is to find money, not launder it.
That's probably where you went wrong.
Just then, Charles arrives to hand over the MacGuffin that brought him there.
My mom wanted me to bring in his birthday present.
Oh, is that sweet? Oh, she's a doll.
Having not seen her nephew in, like, forever, Sally catches Charles up on how things are going.
What's lower than garbage?
Scum?
What's lower than scum?
Slime?
Good. What's lower than slime?
Nothing.
You're wrong. Your Uncle Vincent is lower than slime.
Itching to leave, Charles is then forced to meet the car wash crew.
How you doing?
Better than your aunt.
Arthur gives Sally some free financial advice.
But you're going to have to cut your overhead.
How?
By firing everybody and closing the car wash.
That's apparently good enough for her.
I'm gonna have to let you all go.
What? Oh, wow. This is like a bad trip, man.
Charles sees massive layoffs as his cue to split, but fate has other plans.
My exhaust pipe does not drag on the ground. Do you want to bet?
With Charles stranded for a while, he then gets to meet unsupervised toddler Emily, another car wash regular.
She comes here every day after nursery school, and we all take care of her until her mother finishes work.
That's so sweet. Wonder if the old guys deal her in. But once again, casting flipped through their old call sheets and reused 4-year-old Molly Orr from the season 5 episode Baby Bummer.
Yeah.
Apparently, she was the only one who could pull off this line.
Hi, Spider-Man. Yo, Tyrone, what it is?
Charles turns to vapor as soon as his car is fixed, and the gang holds an impromptu staff meeting.
We know how much this car wash means to you, so we talked it over and decided we're gonna stay.
Yeah, but I can't pay you.
What it means is we'll give you our tips to help you pay the rent.
Yeah.
But before they could crunch those numbers to see how that could possibly work, Arthur returns from the Internal Revenue Office with some good news.
You paid way too much in taxes. You're going to be getting a sizable refund.
You mean that I don't have to get rid of the car wash after all?
Apparently not.
And they never faced financial trouble again. Almost Family is almost good. The scenes between Travolta and her husband are decent, and Jack Bannon is great as a jaded, bankrupted millionaire.
What about my regular customers? I mean, they count on me to wash their cars. I mean, what am I going to do about them?
Pray for rain.
But the producers didn't see any viability in this auto endeavor and ultimately denied them the green light. Just like Lost Resort, Scott Baio directed the Almost Family episode, and it was his idea to give his TV mom a spinoff. But the powers that be didn't think the character was strong enough for her own series. Ironically, switching the focus to a character that audiences were unfamiliar with might have been the episode's downfall. With only the finale left in the series, the penultimate episode of Charles in Charge made a Hail Mary pass to spin-off glory with the episode Fair Exchange. And once again, it's a Scott Baio joint.
Uh-oh.
Another identical relative is plucked from obscurity, only this time Nicole Eggert is the one pulling double duty as cousin Amanda Colfax.
Your granddad got a letter from your Aunt Elaine and your Uncle Steve.
Yeah, they invited you to Albuquerque on your week off. Besides, you love your cousin Amanda.
Never even met my cousin Amanda.
Hey, I think we can all relate to that. But as plot contrivance would have it, Nicole Eggert would not be sharing any scenes with herself.
You know, I'd be miserable in Albuquerque, Grandpa. Please don't make me go. Charles, talk to him.
With Jamie flaking out, it's up to Charles to pull the old sister switcheroo and talk Sarah into going, with an assist from Buddy.
Well, actually, your granddad wants you to go visit your cousin Amanda.
Oh, okay, I'll go.
And that's the extent of Charles's role in this backdoor pilot. Midway through the episode, there's an obligatory phone call to Charles just to give Scott Baio some screen time.
That's nice. Call me anytime. Goodbye.
This is a classic trope of backdoor pilot episodes, phoning a main character to remind viewers that this attempted spin-off is still an essential part of the series' narrative. We've seen similar calls on everything from Murder, She Wrote.
Hello. Hello, Aunt Jessica.
To Laverne and Shirley.
Carmine, you woke me up in the middle of the night to tell me you changed your hairstyle?
No. It's a Broadway show called Hair, and I got a partner.
And now the stage is set to meet another identical cousin in stock, picturesque Albuquerque. But don't expect any of these southwestern thrills of Breaking Bad. A generic family sitcom in every way, Fair Exchange is barely breaking bland. Sarah arrives and reveals she might not be the smarter sister.
Jamie? Amanda, you look just like Jamie.
Okay, do you remember Jamie on the flight there, Sarah? Then it's probably not Jamie. Joining us in the Colfax household is younger sister Melanie, whose default mode is cranky.
Hey, Melanie, is Mom home?
No, but Amanda is. She's on the phone.
Melanie is played by Olivia Burnett, who went on to play the lead in The Torkelsons, also known as Almost Home, another family sitcom from Charles in Charge co-creator Michael Jacobs. There is middle child Michael, whose appeal greatly depends on your tolerance for Pauly Shore.
Thanks for understanding.
It's a far cry from actor Michael Manasseri's previous role as the nerdy friend in License to Drive.
Hey, guys, where you going?
We also have harried alpha mom Elaine, who's vaguely aware of who Sarah or her children are.
Oh, Mom, this is Sarah Powell.
Oh, good. I was pretty sure I only had 2 daughters.
And workaholic patriarch Steve, aka Tackleberry from Police Academy. But the nucleus to this atomic family arrives in the form of Romanian student Nikki, the eponymous exchange in Fair Exchange. 1 part Latka, 2 parts Balki, Nikki's role is to provide homespun Eastern European wisdom with unrelenting confusion about American culture.
I have embarrassed you and humiliated myself beyond belief.
Presumably, he would have been the Charles surrogate for the show, helping the family through their various predicaments.
Melanie has problem. You have problem, and I have solution.
And had Fair Exchange gone to series, we would have wagered on which common American expressions Nikki could misquote.
Get out of the city!
But unlike most families who take in a foreign exchange student, the Colfaxes don't really have time for communicating, or bonding, or nourishment.
Mom, Nikki is expecting breakfast.
Breakfast, yeah.
Fortunately, this mother of 3 knows how to improvise.
I'll make you my specialty, poulet de mer.
See, it's frozen fish sticks. Cooking is not Mom's strong point.
Neither is hospitality or forethought, apparently.
You won't be joining us?
For fish sticks? You gotta be kidding.
Determined to spend time together as a family, Nikki and the Colfax kids break their own plans to prepare a dinner and hash out their problems, foolishly under the assumption their parents would want to spend time with them.
Oh, well, that sounds great, sweetheart, but your father and I have to go to this World Fund charity thing tonight. I'm sorry.
And like the Archangel Charles, Saint Nicky swoops in to try to drill some basic parenting skills into Elaine's head.
My husband and I have to attend a charity dinner tonight. It's for a very worthy cause.
But I think maybe you have 3 worthy causes right here in this house.
The guilt trip works, and Mom passes it along to Dad.
We are having dinner with our children tonight.
And with that, the Colfaxes begin the healing process, given their limitations.
You kids have anything special you want to tell us? You know, any, problems?
With their confidence as high as it can go, the kids begin seeking advice. Mallory gets help reconciling a best friend who spends time with other kids. Dad hires Michael part-time so he can save up for designer sneakers. Things are going smoothly until we get to Amanda, whose problem seems to compound once she confides in her parents.
See, there's this boy named Danny Martinez in my class. And I'd really like to date him, but Danny comes from Mexico.
Yes, in what should be a layup speech promoting tolerance and inclusion, Steve and Elaine Colfax don't ever explicitly approve of Amanda dating outside their race.
This might be the first mature decision you've ever had to make, but it should be your decision, not your mother's and not mine.
Yeah, thanks for the advice, Dad. Mallory, could you pass the salt?
But you might have to pay some heavy dues. You and Danny might both lose some friends.
Amanda makes the wise decision and immediately changes the subject.
You know, this family dinner was a great idea.
Thankfully, neither Amanda nor the audience had to sit through another Colfax family dinner. And the family faded into the Albuquerque ether like a Heisenberg competitor.
You're goddamn right.
Like with Almost Family, producers didn't think Jamie Powell was a strong enough character to sustain a show. And considering how similar Amanda is to Jamie, they might have been right.
Oh, I didn't know that!
1 week later, the Charles in Charge players said their goodbyes literally on stage in a variety show that Charles directs before he leaves for graduate school. To bend your mind further, the finale itself was directed by Scott Baio. Fans hoping the character would finally reveal his last name were left disappointed. But given how meta things get at the end, his name might as well have been Charlie Kaufman.
You know, it takes a lot of help to put on a show, and I've had more help than any one guy deserves.
Then Sarah throws the show's continuity into a space-time blender by revealing the theme song's origins.
We found a record that'll tell you how we feel. Play it, Mike.
So this whole time, this was a long-lost song about some other Charles? Who the hell did we put in charge of our wrongs and our rights? And members of the show's crew join in the hugs and tears, making it seem like random strangers have stormed the stage. And now, here's where things get weird. Charles wakes up on the sofa to discover he's actor Scott Baio dreaming that he's a character named Charles. Confused? Don't worry, the disembodied voices should clear everything up.
Haven't you ever wondered why you have no last name?
And so after Buddy shares his Dream Warrior spell to conjure the cast out of thin air,
Hi, Charles.
We're back.
The audience joins in on a group sing-along that's arguably the funniest thing the series ever produced. After Charles in Charge ended, Scott Baio went on to a variety of projects, both respectable.
You need blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah. No habla español.
And questionable. Let's just say when it comes to keeping the legacy of his roles untarnished, Baio is doing what he does best. Too bad he can't blame it all on Chaz.
Hey, next time you open the door for me.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Atomic Abe and click the notification bell to be alerted when new videos are released. Want to buy cool 80s merch? Click the link in the description to buy retro movie, comic book, and TV t-shirts from 80s Tees. If you like Behind the Backdoor Pilot, check out our video on the Who's the Boss episode that tried to launch a spinoff for The Nanny.